Well, what is a spacesuit? A spacesuit is more than clothes that astronauts wear in space. The suit really is a small spacecraft. It protects the astronaut from the dangers of being outside in space. Why do astronauts need spacesuits? Spacesuits help the astronauts in many ways. The suits protect astronauts from getting too hot or cold. Spacesuits also give astronauts oxygen to breathe while they are working in space. The suit holds water to drink. They also keep astronauts from getting hurt by space dust. Space dust may not sound very dangerous, but when it moves faster than a bullet, the dust can hurt someone. The suits even have special gold-lined visors to protect eyes from bright sunlight. Now, doesn't this sound just so well and good? The spacesuits made originally by the Playtex Bra Company, along with Hamilton Sundstrom, the famous propeller company. Now, these spacesuits are stitched together. Now, if you know about stitching, it can't be actually airtight. They should be all one piece. But no, they're stitched together by these dedicated ladies. In one report, it was 32 stitches per inch. And I heard another one was 64. Interesting numbers, those. Think of the chessboard, 8 times 8. And 32, anyone who follows Jungle Surfer will know all about 32. But it doesn't matter how many stitches they have per inch. A stitch is not a sealed idea. And the spacesuits too, to be flexible, they have to be only so thick. And they're saying they're going to protect you from the space dust. Now, from their science, from what they say about space dust, it is meant to travel, as I said, they're faster than a bullet. In fact, they say it travels many times faster than a bullet. And a little grain, smaller than a sand grain, could go right through you. So how is the spacesuit, the flexible, soft spacesuit, really going to stop a bombardment of space dust? If space dust even exists. Does space even exist? These are the problems. But on their science, they say this, and so they should be able to support that argument that this suit is so tough. But we know the suit just doesn't look that tough. It's flexible. It can't be that tough to be flexible. It has to be thin enough for a human arm to move. The original concept for a spacesuit was actually a bell, a solid thing that you could move around maybe inside, virtually a small spacecraft by itself. But the big problem is the visor. I mean, that's just glass. Glass isn't that strong. Hit a hammer onto some glass and watch it shatter. So there's a lot of problems. Also, the glare that you would encounter in space. Just think of a desert or a high mountain where there's very little protection from the sun and how hot it can get. Or the actual brightness, thinking of that more. Now, in that little dome top of glass, the way it is on the spacesuit, your head would just get fried. You couldn't be able to see. Now, I said a friend of mine who's a bit really illiterate, he thinks he's very good. He studies everything from NASA and watches lots of Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars. He said, oh, but they're iridium. And I said, mate, I don't care what they are. They're see-through. Now, if they're see-through, a lot of light can come in. Even if they're somewhat tinted. So what? The light here is very, very bright. And you just would be glared out, so you couldn't see a thing. So that in itself is a problem. The flexibility of the suit is a problem because it shows it's inherently weak. And if you get one tear in this suit, you're dead. So it's pretty vital that you don't have a leak in the suit. And as we know, it's stitched. And there's all pieces joining it. What are the parts of a spacesuit? It's made up of many parts. Well, they have to be joined. Joins are weak. Glass is weak. So the whole thing is just, it just doesn't make sense. Not by their science. And then they tell us that the backpack, the wondrous backpack, it supplies all the electricity. It also holds your oxygen. It removes your carbon dioxide. And it has the cooling water that runs through on a like inner, what would you call it, like underwear, undergarments. And that's where they cool it. Now, water running through, what if you're in cold? The water would freeze, wouldn't it? And then you couldn't move at all. Or even as the water got colder and colder, it'd start to immobilize you. And if it was really hot, I mean, water would boil. So water cooling, to my mind, is just nowhere near good enough. When they did tests in the deserts with these suits, sure, the water cooling was great there. And you can find astronauts talking about that. But the temperatures on a desert aren't the same as you would meet once you're up high and getting in direct sunlight with a very thin atmosphere. I've been in a plane, say at 30,000 feet, and when the sun was coming up, we had to close all the windows because simply the glare that comes in straight in the windows would just white out the entire plane and make it very uncomfortable. Yes, it's very, very bright, as you know, when you're up on a mountain like, say, Mount Everest or any mountain, even above 6,000 feet, it gets quite glary. And of course, with the snow, with the white, it reflects the glare, so it's like a double impact. Well, it seems to be pretty white looking out there in space with the cloud-covered Earth. So that would be reflection. And look at the moon, and look how it's a real whiteout in itself. That's what makes me laugh, that people think that you could stand on the moon, if the moon is even solid, which many people here doubt. And even if it was solid, it's that bright, you couldn't stand there anyway. Nothing makes much sense when you actually study NASA. And then the corker with these is they have these little rockets attached. So that in case you drift away from the space station, you can hit the little rockets, the thruster jets, I should say, small thruster jets. If an astronaut floated away, as you can see there, and it gets them back, just like in the movies we see this. James Bond, Lost in Space, Star Trek, Star Wars, they all have these little jets on their suits. And that doesn't make sense because if you're in a vacuum, I can't see how you get any movement out of a jet because it works by throwing the weight out and meeting some resistance. Well, there's no resistance in a vacuum, so it will just keep going away. So I can't see that you can actually any movement out of it. Some people might have some good ideas on that who comment here, but the whole thing just is a real leap of faith, and especially the stitching and especially the glass, just like on the spaceship itself with their little glass windows. Weak points, like the shuttle with its little glass windows. I mean, glass isn't very strong. We're expected to believe, in this case it is. So it's a real leap of faith. People just don't think about these things. NASA never highlights that idea. And people just swallow it. And have a look there too, the NASA Kids Club. For educators, for students, and the Kids Club. Get them in early. Propaganda them early. And see the spaceship behind him there? This is from Orion. It's about to blast off. And they'll have the same old stitched spacesuits. And they seem to have these overalls sometimes, and sometimes they've got the suits on. I want to know where the change room is. How you get changed inside this little room. Look how small it is. And not to mention every image they've been showing us of Orion and will continue to show over the next few weeks. We're no doubt going to get bombarded with these images, but I can't expect they're going to look real. They've never looked real in the past, so it's going to be very interesting to watch this. Look at the two eyes like Darth Vader. And look inside this. Look at this little clinical look in here. And look at that. Now imagine being in that position for hours and hours and days and whatever they're going to tell us, whoever's traveling, like at the moon, it was 2 weeks. I've covered in another video, Moon Hoax Totally Proven. Please watch that. Look at that. Does that look comfortable to you? I'd say, you know, go to a dentist chair and lie in there. After an hour, you just want to get out and stretch your legs. Well, here, there's no getting out and stretching your legs. It'd drive you nuts. After a few hours and a day, you would absolutely be ropeable. And look at all this CGI for the instrumentation. I'm going to show you all these instruments that makes it look important and real. But it's not real. Look at it. It's just a cartoon. How come they can never show us anything that looks real? Look at these little windows that they can look out of here. Imagine the pressure just blowing them out and then you getting sucked back out. You know that's like it on a plane. This thing is put through incredible stress. It's going to accelerate to speeds, they say, of like 25,000 miles an hour. Now doing a clip of 5, now doing a clip of 8, now doing a clip of 20 as they go up. And it's not just 5, 10, 20, whatever. It's thousands. And they expect us to believe this is the acceleration and all you've got between you and death is glass and a stitched up spacesuit. And as I said, the spacesuit being flexible shows it's relatively thin, and that thinness is a worry. Look at them here now. Does that look comfortable to you? Would you be happy to be sitting like that for hours? I think not. Now I came across this video here, and this is by the Mythbuster scum. The Mythbuster scum, the ones who stood up for the moon, as you know, in that Mythbuster show where they disproved the moon hoaxes. Not so much worked against NASA, but worked for NASA. Isn't that interesting? Mythbusters. We thought they would have come in and busted the myth of the moon. But oh no, everything that they said supported NASA. Well, of course it would. I mean, they're on mainstream television. They're not going to bite the hand that feeds it. But all this cooling system is clearly shown in this video, and they all think it's all so wonderful. But anyone with any idea would think, hey, that looks so flimsy, just very uncomfortable for the wearer, and all the seals, it's all in parts. I mean, that's all weakness. That's all weakness. You only need to blow a seal and you're gone. But said there's actually stitching. And notice the blue and the red. The blue and the red theme on the ends of the arms there. And these guys show you how they put the pants on and then come underneath here and zoom in. And the guy even says it clips together. Clips, another one. Anything that's a clip, I mean, inherently is hard to really seal. And look where the head bit goes on too. And you'll see if you watch the whole video on this sort of testers or something it's called. It's a breakaway of Mythbusters. This is the one that they just go out and support NASA. It's unbelievable. Red and blue theme everywhere. You can see that clearly. And the odd hand sign. But when he's testing this one here and the visors flip over, you can clearly see it suddenly turns golden. They actually have a piece they bring down that's opaque. And the guy says, oh, in case you're really in a lot of sunlight, you know, so you can vary the amount coming in the bubble. But I tell you now, your head would just be glared out, and that little bit of gold visor just wouldn't be good enough for the brightness we're talking. It'd be out of your realm of what you think. And it doesn't matter what you think about the Earth and space in general, one thing's certain. When you look at the sun, you know it's very bright. And the closer you get to it, it's going to be brighter. And if you go up into high realms, it's going to be very bright. And we know this from normal planes. So this little display anyway on the tester show should give you a little bit of an idea on how fake it really is. When this fake Mythbuster people come and support it basically by their show. Because people have a lot of trust in Mythbuster. They think these guys are pretty smart. Some of their episodes seem okay, you see. Sucks you in, and then they can carry on with the NASA BS. That's probably the reason they ever put the show up, just so they could sell some of their BS science while your guard is down. That's basically what it is. They get your guard down. Now look at this. Are you happy with that? And you should hear him try and talk in it. The echo, and he even says to the guy, oh, gee, it's a lot of echo in here. And the guy says, oh, when all the gases are moving around, the oxygen and that, it'll muffle the sound down a bit, you know. But you wouldn't want any of these seals to break. Even as you know, at high altitude, that'd be problematic. Just in normal high plane altitude. Yes, I'm afraid NASA never went to the moon. NASA doesn't walk in space the way they say they do. It's impossible. And there's no secret space program. I'm convinced of that. I don't believe in aliens myself. I think there's just been so much hyped up in the movies, and people will now believe anything. I think that's pretty much maybe a lot of the reasoning here. You can get them to believe in one lie, and then it's easy to make them believe in a whole series of lies. Like Pinocchio, the nose just keeps getting bigger. Look, tested. Terrible it is. Absolutely terrible fabrication. And pardon the pun, on the public. And any day now, Orion is going to blast off. In fact, only 2 days away to the big blast of the All-Star Orion. And they'll be wearing these same spacesuits. Because the guy said they haven't changed much in 40 years. I mean, when you're on a good thing, stick to it. When you're on a good hoax, why change the hoax? But I'm sure the ones before had detachable boots. This one, the boots are all one piece. That's interesting in itself. But yes, anything involved with Mythbusters, as we know, that in itself, that's busted it. Sorry, Mythbusters, but you're the biggest crock of shit show on television. And so you've made NASA look even worse, if that's possible.